Aussie shoppers are feeling the pinch.
Everything's going up.
I just got 3 steaks and some veggies and stuff for dinner and it was $60.
Supermarkets have always taken us for a ride. That's how they've made their billions.
Consumers struggling with the surging cost of supermarket staples.
Households are actually seeing the increase in prices in a way that they can't avoid. So they're really seeing it every day, every week when they do the shopping.
And with more than $1 billion in profits each last year, some are pointing the finger at Coles and Woolworths, accusing them of turning consumer pain into their gain.
Coles and Woolies certainly are the real popular face of blame, I guess. But there is a lot of problems along the way in the supply chains.
Now, the Greens and Labor are launching a new Senate inquiry to grill supermarket CEOs about what's behind our sky-high grocery bills.
Millions of Australians are wandering around the supermarket aisles aghast at how much they are having to pay for the essentials of life.
Certain things that I bought 3-4 months ago are now for $5 dearer.
But inflation figures tell a more complex story. Latest figures show prices for bread and cereals up almost 10% and dairy more than 10%. On the other hand, lamb is down over 7%, fruit and vegetables down more than 10%.
What we've really seen over the past year or so is a bit of a divergence in the food prices. For example, fruit and vegetable prices have actually fallen, if anything, and I think one of the reasons is, well, you don't have to send your fruit and vegetables to a slaughterhouse.
The supermarkets blaming factors beyond their control.
We are committed to offering our customers value while working with our suppliers to sensitively manage economy-wide inflationary pressures.
Coles' rate of inflation has been progressively moderating, particularly in key staple areas. We are always exploring ways to reduce prices on the products we sell.
And while an inquiry might provide some answers, it won't provide struggling Aussies any cost of living relief.
Brand strategist Dee Madigan knows a thing or two about how to maintain a company's reputation. Dee, do Coles and Woolworths have anything to fear from this inquiry?
They have so much to fear, I think, because people will be watching, and that means the potential for brand damage. I think because the public anger is so real, there's kind of enjoyment in watching executives squirm before a Senate inquiry, as we found out with Qantas and Optus. So they've got a lot to fear, I think.
The big retailers themselves, Woolies, Coles, say actually they're under pressure from all sorts of things like supply chain issues, transport. But actually, when you look at the data beyond just the headline profits, they're actually also increasing their margins on groceries. Are we actually, in your view, being massively ripped off?
We are being completely ripped off. Like, they'll say things like, well, you know, we employ all these Australians and we pay taxes. It's like, that's kind of what you have to do. But instead, we've had the farmers come out and say, our costs actually haven't gone up that much. Coles and Woolies are just paying us what they always have, but their profits are going up and their prices are going up. They are absolutely ripping off Australians.
They also control more than 60% of Australia's grocery market. So even if this inquiry makes findings against them, I mean, are people even going to stop shopping at Coles and Woolies? Is it going to have any impact?
I think as cost of living bites, it might a little bit, they'll look at alternatives. But you're right, we don't have that many. And that might be some of the findings that come out, as they have in Canada, in New Zealand, I think in the UK as well. They've made companies divest of some of their properties so they don't have as much of a monopoly. And hopefully that will happen in Australia.
Dee, obviously part of the problem that we have here in Australia is the lack of competition. Could we solve this by getting Qantas to sell some groceries, Telstra to fly some planes, Coles and Woolies to start giving us mobile deals and, like, sort of dilute their power that way?
I don't think down is going to work for an airline. But how we could actually do it is if you look at the CEOs of Coles and Woolies, right, and this is the same problem Optus had and the same problem Qantas had, 35% of their income comes from their salary, and 65% from bonuses. And all those bonuses, of course, linked to profits, which is literally just creating a perfect storm of capital bastardry. And I reckon if we change the rules on percentages of salary versus bonuses, we're going to do a lot to help.
OK, Dee, so the big supermarkets, they've hired you to be their brand strategist. They can afford you, we know that. What advice do you give them?
Well, rethink your executive bonuses. Stop arguing against, your staff getting, every little tiny increase they argue against it. Reduce the amount of self-service checkouts, hire more people, and pass your savings on to your customers. It's not actually hard.
Who needs an inquiry? Dee Madigan, appreciate your thoughts.
Pleasure.